yeah, as you say, Liquid definitely are the favorites.
Well, they're going to kick things off on the CT side as well, as to add a little bit of extra salt in the wounds. And already going to see the T setting up outside the lobby. Now, chances are they might just try to go for something a little bit more basic in the early rounds. Try and put some pressure onto Liquid, maybe force a few slip-ups. But Grim, ready and waiting. However, the trades, Vince, pretty damn fast coming out from Triumph.
That's impressive. The Glock work is on point. Post plant comings up, and Naf and Fallen, the last two players left alive. Brazilian, newest addition to the roster. Seems like they've already called for a save. They do have a kit. They've got some Kevlar on Naf, who's also taken no damage, so it'll be less money for him to upgrade to that head armor. Just the 300 or so dollars, and so they do have some options going into the next round. But this is great news for Triumph. You know, we said before about getting a good control over the economy, dictating the pace, certainly putting Liquid on sort of the hot spot, and they've done just that right off the bat. So excellent work. They'll be feeling very good about that outcome, and if they can take down Fallen in the process, that would be the cherry on top. But it seems like they're going to bypass him and head to the T-spawn instead.
Yeah, I'm going to wait a little bit with sort of bated breath just because of what we sort of witnessed yesterday with a few like pistol round upsets coming in, especially off the back of some deagles. And we know that there's plenty of players who can work those pistols when it comes to the side of Liquid. So we'll see, because that's the big thing for Triumph. I think obviously winning the pistol round is one thing, but getting that conversion is so important. I'll also admit, though, that yesterday I was fairly impressed with what we saw from Shakezilla and the squad. Like, it looked like there were decent calls. And while this one is straight back to the same again, right into this A site.
Yeah, I love this aggressive style, this aggressive pace. And although Naf did get his hands on the UMP, he's been pretty much bypassed, entirely avoided and negated courtesy of this fast A hit. And we're already in a position where Liquid may think about just holding on to these guns. How confident do they feel in their own ability to retake? They're going to be going in for it early on. And although Elige gets one frag, this is where the MAC-10 should stick the landing. There are some casualties, and Liquid are making this a bit more costly than Triumph would have been hoping for. But the round will still be under their belt with Elige on a 3K. Very nice work, but has been unable to pick up any of the fallen weapons. And Triumph will hold on to these two AKs more than likely. I doubt that they peek out too hard. He may be able to pick up that kit that's in main currently after the bomb explodes. Yep, he'll be moving in. Scout picked up. Can't quite get his hands on the kit, but at least it gives him something to play with, and he can drop that deagle across to one of his teammates, or indeed the scout as they so choose. And Fulham will be picking that one up. But as you said, Tom, I've been impressed so far with Triumph. They're having ideas in their head of aggression, and they're following through with it, and they're getting the opening picks, which is so important.
I think that must be something that Shakezilla looks for when he's bringing like through different players into the roster, is just having people who are basically going to follow his directions to a T. And they're just 3 times in a row, or at least it seems. Maybe a little bit of bait thrown in by the in-game leader. Now, he is going to give his life away, and the rest of the roster are a little bit further behind, but it could have just been an idea to try and pull some rotations. It seems though that they're going in a lot looser instead, almost in waves, 2 by 2. Unfortunately, this time they're not screaming hurrah.
Yeah, this time they're
That's
probably...
a niche joke.
They're probably going to be pretty disappointed with the outcome. And, you know, we were just building up about this idea of Shakezilla making calls and them sticking to it, pushing through together as a cohesive unit. As you said, they were just trickling in. It was one by one, conga lining to death, basically. So for all of the props that we just gave them, that is the other side of the coin where Triumph aren't on the same page. They get punished, and Liquid, they scraped together a very poor buy. They didn't even fully invest into this. And it's looking very likely they come out ahead and not just win, but keep 4 players alive, trade up to a bunch of AK-47s, and now they are in fantastic shape.
Yeah, I'm sort of left scratching my head a little bit. Like at the beginning where Shakezilla goes in, I can almost... I'm okay with that, because I look at that and go, okay, maybe he's searching for a stack. He only had himself a MAC-10. It's not really a big loss that he dies. But the fact then another player does it, and then another player does it, it just seemed like a peculiar round where communication, it definitely didn't look like it was on point. So they've kind of handed over one of the best possible buys you're ever going to see for a CT side. 3 AK-47s, an AWP picked up for Fallen. Stewie will be left on the M4, but well, you've boosted Liquid's economy on the CT side of Nuke. I don't think that's going to be helping yourselves out anytime soon. Now, at least they do have enough money that in the next round they'll be able to purchase. But I even want to see them drop a player or 2 here. Like, make things a bit more costly, force a few rebuys so that the economy of Liquid isn't just going to be booming.
Yeah, exactly. It got propelled significantly, but maybe they can bring back a few casualties, or perhaps not. They run into a stacked up A site, and Elysian Grim lay down the law. It all falls to Cooper. Had some very impressive performances yesterday, but the opposition AWP have fallen will suppress him. Not a single casualty, but Triumph now will be coming straight back in with a buy. 2-2, and Liquid already off to nearly $9,000 on a leash, just shy of $7,000 on Grim. They're already looking in pretty good shape.
Yeah, definitely not how Triumph would have wanted to start all of this off, but all they can do from this stage is move on. We're going to have the AWP trained in at least early, but a chance to potentially rotate and take a battle towards Secret. Now, there is going to be Shakezilla waiting outside, but it's whether or not he expects Fallen to take that sort of peek. The rest of the team just patiently waiting, almost leaving him as like the playmaker. Try and pull some players outside, force a few rotations away, and reads the plan from Fallen at least. They probably would have heard him drop into the vent, so it's not the craziest of reads to come in. But they're looking like they might just go for the same thing once again, unless it's a plan to switch to ramp. I think it's just A site all day.
Yeah, I'm going to be very curious to see if they hit A lot going forward into the latter stages of this half, especially with a lot of rifles in play, because Maui talked about Shakezilla seeing some weaknesses. We'll get back onto that point in a second, because Fallen showing no weakness on ramp alongside Naf. The bomb's been dropped down, and there's already a rotation as well. Elige is getting around the back, but he won't even be called upon because Grim sprays them both down. And I really hope, Tom, that the weakness that Shakezilla spotted isn't A site, because you got early success on the pistol in the subsequent second round, but since then, you've pushed through and you have been battered.
Well, yeah, it's a little bit peculiar that they seem very reliant on just Shakezilla as an individual player, not even just as a leader, because in this round, it just seemed like everybody else was holding as he tried to make plays, tried to push and pull different members of Liquid, and it wasn't really enough to get anybody to move. They were just patiently waiting as the push came in, even had a decent crossfire on the ramp as they tried to take that control. And well, yeah, as you said, if the weakness that they've spotted was just that there were some vulnerabilities on the A site, this could be a bit of an issue. The other thing as well is, I don't think that the previous match that Liquid played, they're going to have just left that gone, okay, yeah, we won. It was 16-12 against a team that we should far outclass. And they'll just go, okay, we don't need to change anything, back for another day. No, they will have looked at this. They will have looked to try and improve it since then. And that's the tougher thing. Like, that wasn't necessarily a slip up from Liquid, but it was definitely maybe a wake up call going, okay, that was a little bit too close. Let's make sure to almost cement a few of the issues that we had.
Well, yeah, which definitely can be, you know, a case of stopping complacency and making players realize that there are some potential issues. That thinnest of gaps, Fallen has perfectly executed onto Cooper. So maybe that was the wake-up call, as you highlighted. And now we're seeing a re-energized Liquid on Nuke, clearly allowing this to come into the first pick for a reason. They tried a run boost, didn't quite work out, but actually Fallen misses the shot anyway before will be peeked out from Elige. And although there is a casualty in the form of Stewie, it looks like he may be the only Liquid player that has been doused down, with Grim picking up the pieces. 4 rounds in a row now to the firm favorites.
Already a little bit of BM to sort of come through from Liquid. The thing is as well, their finances are through the roof. Like, it's going to take maybe even like 3-4 rounds to actually break this economy, depending on what the purchases actually are. They've still kept through all the AKs. Fact is, Stewie and Naf haven't actually had to do anything just yet, because they're just looking at Grim, Elysian, Fallen, 7, 7, and 8. I almost feel like we're getting to a point where someone on the Triumph side needs to bring them around, because it's more just due to how dominant these have been. Like, there hasn't even been a round that's been particularly close since the slip-up. And while, again, we're going to see a lot of lobby control, patient play from Triumph, I think they're expecting maybe Liquid to get a bit more aggressive, just how successful they've been. Okay, take some map control away, but they've been patient. Outside control has been somewhat abandoned, but I feel like it's more of a reposition with Fallen holding onto the cross and almost just happy to say, you know what, you haven't gone B yet, so we're going to wait for you to actually take that control before we decide we need to respect it.
Yeah, exactly. That respect needs to be earned from Triumph for the time being. As Elige goes in for the peek, but Shakezilla The man that you highlighted, not just an IGL, but is one of their stronger players in terms of firepower, showing again. Naf downstairs, waiting for this B hit, as is Stewie, but the timing is off. Gets caught in the vent. Shake Zula gets his second entry. 2 players already down here. Fallen now joining Naf on the approach, looking towards control room. Flash will be followed up momentarily. Actually hasn't been tossed out until it's too late. The bomb gets dropped down. Should have tossed in from Connector. And now the double spray from Grim, but he can only get one. Fallen's position is so brutal with the AWP. I would be amazed if he gets more than 1 kill from this spot. Now, he may get the element of surprise. There's the first, but now they know exactly where he is. And although Viz is low on 2 HP, he does have Shake Zulu alongside him. Time, though, is beginning to become a bit of an issue. They still need to get this bomb picked up. They still need to get it planted down. And it will take a few seconds to get the bomb planted, which allows Fallen an opportunity. The grenade's finished off Shake Zula, and now Viz on 2 HP is all that stands. Is the legendary Brazilian AWP going to clutch it? No. Viz takes his head off, but that was so much closer than it needed to be, Tom.
I'm very surprised Viz doesn't actually hear him initially, because Fallen did scope back in to try and kill him off when he was above him, and it seemed like the player on site, or the player with the bomb in the 1 versus 3, didn't have a clue that Fallen could have been in that corner. So yeah, too close for comfort, and while this is not the way that Triumph wanted to win a round, you might be thinking, okay, Tom, that doesn't really make much sense, but their economy is screwed. Like, they're coming into a round they win with a Tech 9. A Tech 9, Vince! You won the round, and you don't even have enough to buy, what, an SMG or an extra rifle. This is as rough as it gets, and of course, on the other side, Liquid are, well, rolling in it.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Hit them on the head. They win the round, but that's so many costed players double pink through the wall onto Fallen. He has to pull back now. 10 HP remains. Naf was playing aggressive as well. They were looking for a lobby crunch, but it has been sliced and diced, although Cynic goes down with it. So at least Liquid have taken first blood in the round, and they can now pull back and feel a little bit more comfortable about the oncoming minute or so of the round.
Having to retake lobby control. The small piece of aggression that's coming from Liquid has left Triumph wasting an awful lot of time, but they've at least upgraded a little bit. The 1 player without a rifle can retrieve, and the purchase doesn't look quite as bad, especially with how low Fallen currently is. Again, though, it looks like they're just setting up for the exact same push we've seen attempted multiple times. This time, Shake Zula going to wrap in from Mini. And actually, already, he's picked off Stewie. There's a multitude of frags just coming in a matter of seconds. And, well, I don't think the remaining 2 players can really go for anything here, Vince. It looked like Liquid were all set up, but maybe the crossfire had a missing piece.
Well, the plot thickens, Tom. We said earlier that maybe A site was the area of the map and the aspect that Shake Zula had spotted as being a potential weakness, and we were a little bit dumbfounded once their initial fast, aggressive pushes were somewhat thwarted. But here, they had the advantage, Liquid, and they still lose out on the A site. It was slow, methodical, meticulous from Triumph. And not only do they win, they keep 3 players alive, and a lot of those economic strains that we were talking about will be bridged somewhat as a result of that. So already 4 rounds on the T side. Liquid have lost the last 2 on the bounce. They have to save. Now, obviously, with all their saved up cash, they'll be good to buy again, but there's definitely a couple of weaknesses and vulnerabilities that are maybe being peeled back and fully exposed.
I am very surprised with how much Shake Zula seems to be able to get away with. That's now so many opening frags that he's managed to make for the team. And as said, like, it seems like in a lot of these cases, they need him to be that playmaker. Like, it starts the ball rolling for other players to step up. And there's a part of me that looks at that and goes, okay, if you're the in-game leader and you're sort of having to do the entry fragging, that's a lot of pressure to put on one-man shoulders. Similarly to what you sometimes see from Alexi B. Like, you just feel like the man's trying to put the whole world on his shoulders all at once. But over the last couple of rounds, it's worked. Like, he's been able to find them opening picks, direct the rest of the team to almost just patiently wait for him to make the move and, well, literally following his lead.
They go in again, barraging onto A site, some excellent utility in the form of flashes, but now Liquid beginning to just rise to the top again. Naf making moves, Fallen already 11 frags to his name, Pop flashing out, wants to go in for a peek. B Wills may have him dead to rights, but misses his shots, and now in comes Naf. The flank is good, and Liquid just about hold on and pick up a 5th.
I think that's something that's worth mentioning as well. Like, I was talking about Fallen, Elige, Grim doing the heavy lifting for the early rounds. I think Naf and Stu are both on 1 kill. Stewie's still on 1 kill. Naf's now on 7. So he definitely had a bit of a resurgence. And I think we all know that if 4 members of this Team Liquid side pop off, there really is no hope for maybe even most teams in the world at the moment. So I don't think Triumph would stand a chance. Even still, though, only a round behind. Financially, not in too bad a situation thus far. But Liquid still have a pretty decent economy behind them.
That's pretty nuts, honestly, because I feel like a lot of people, especially if you've been around CS for a bit longer, would always kind of link Stewie to Cloud9, maybe more so than Team Liquid. But now knowing that he's been at Liquid for longer, that is quite a head scratcher. It's kind of insane to me, but let's see if his team can press forward. As you said, he's had a bit of a rough start. He has typically been on the A site, which has been pounded with tons of utility. So we know he always has that extra few gears that he can shift into. Elige watching from Garage with the Orc. Has a lot of ADR and 4 assists on top of that 7 frags. So it shows he's always been in the mix or thereabouts. And he may be called upon again. Players dropping down on top of main roof. Viz already staring down to Secret. But Triumph haven't fully pushed downstairs just yet.
And this position from Elige is somewhere that he plays quite regularly and is really irritating to clear. I feel like getting him out of this position always seems to be a problem. And B-Wills, I think he's definitely aware of the potential of this spot. In fact, even going to smoke off in towards Mini and try and just clear him. They know they have to get rid of him. Great play to get rid of Elige. Sheikh Zula is going to be able to upgrade as well, making this buy into a pretty damn stellar one. But it has taken a full minute off the clock, and Liquid are not going to sit still. They're going to try and re-aggress themselves. In fact, they're starting to pinch onto the lobby.
Cynics also had a bit of a rough game so far. Gets one at least, and that could be good enough for his teammates who are now scrambling downstairs. Sheikh Zula leading the charge with Viz. But they have no idea as to where the CTs currently reside now. They're all up on A site still. So Liquid not really in a position to fend this one off. And I'm curious if they even go for this because they've got 2 AKs and an AWP. And with Elige and Fallen's economy so low, they may have to just hold out and tap out of this round. And it looks like that's exactly what's going to happen. So 5-5. And Tom, I've been very impressed with Triumph. I've got to say, as soon as I saw Liquid get 4 in a row, I thought, okay, here we go. This is where the slaughter begins. Absolutely not. Triumph have held on and they've stood their ground.
It's been quite a weird game just because of how dominant the rounds the Liquid actually won were. Like, you kind of sit there and go, like, if you just watched the rounds, didn't focus on the score, kind of forgot about it, you would almost think that, okay, Liquid have been dominating most of the duels, like, the battles that they've had. Most of the time, there was barely anybody surviving on the side of Triumph. And then you look at the scoreline and you realize a lot of the time, Liquid have just been forced into saves because of some fast, cheeky peaks that have come in from Triumph. And I also think they do very well at actually isolating players. As said, clearing Elige from that spot is not easy, especially someone of his caliber. To not get a single kill, that's a bit of a shock. But they knew he was there. They were prepared for it. They cleared all the other angles. They smoked off other positions that could be a potential problem and just got rid of him from that spot almost easily.
Oh, speaking of taking the initiative, Elige just pushes straight out and says, nah, it's not going to happen again, Chief. I'm going to take the fight to you. And this is why I'm one of the best players on the planet. So early doors, Liquid do take the advantage, but we've seen them get the opening pick and let rounds slip away. Naf, timing nearly works against them. Flash up and over. He'll be calling for some help, but it's Elige that's on point. Spray is good for 1. Can't quite get a second, but weakens up Viz. And Naf will pick up the pieces. Fallen goes in for the penultimate frag of the round. You'd have to assume that Cynic is living on borrowed time, and Naf has collected. Liquid regain the lead again.
I do think this is the style of play that will probably win Liquid the map, is not necessarily sticking to the almost norms of their like setups, like just forcing the issue just on an individual level, because that's where we know that Liquid thrive above most teams. Right? They're going to be easily able to outduel pretty much anybody, and I think that's all that was. Elige went, okay, if you're going to try and isolate me with utility and pick me off on my own, well, I'm just going to go facing against you, because that's where he pretty much can't lose.
Yeah, exactly. Playing to his strengths. And Fallen now is actually taking Garage instead. So they've got that aggressive position outside with Elige up close. And Fallen with his 12 frags will be helping him out. No one has eyes on Silo, but they don't necessarily need to. They'll hear any movement if they drop down onto main, and then Elige can spring into action as they're now congregating back towards lobby. So Triumph taking it slow, steady, and methodical. We saw them earlier on, about 4 or 5 rounds ago, play a very similar style after losing the first play and actually take a site. But a lot of that was pincered in with an aggressive hit through main on Sheikh Zula. They don't have that. In actual fact, they're about to get pressured by Elige, who spots the player out in the open, and Sheikh Zula has been put down. Now, at least Triumph have successfully managed to vent dive down, but Naf is here to try and repel them.
He won't be able to do anything to deny the plant. In fact, the Molotov is going to force him back completely. Good peek as well from Cooper. Denies the wraparound from Elige and gives them a lot more space, because that was the main issue they had here. They were stuck between Elige and the remaining members of Liquid. Now, they can play their after plants fairly safe. They're still going to be watching in case there's a second player flanking, but the fact is, they're all coming in from the ramp. Stewie, though, well, he doubles up his kills. He's finally found a second one, and that's the start of everything crumbling, it seems. But Viz, he's trying to cling on, and he's found himself a second already. The defuse has to begin. It's a bait, trying to get him to peek, and Viz has not fallen for it. He will eventually go down, but the time has gone. He will win a round for Triumph, and they will cling on to their 6th.
Oh, Grim just about holds on to his life and saves the AK in the process. I think he was looking for an AWP, can't find it. And that puts the economy into a really awkward position. Liquid may even call a timeout here. I'm not sure if they have a good read of the scenario. They're actually going to go for a force. Naf is down to a deagle. They're juggling weapons between the entire team. They got a scout on Fallen. M4 was picked up for Naf instead. But, you know, we had some questions here, Tom. Would Triumph realistically be able to withstand the superior firepower and tactics of Liquid? And so far, it's been a resounding yes.
Yeah, we go straight back to aggression. It's been relatively successful. Pace change as well from Triumph. Grim will be able to dominate the first, but the trade's in thick and fast. He does, however, have some support in the form of Naf. Actually, they're going to continue this push again, the vent dive. It seems to be a big part of the game plan at the moment for Triumph. Again, financially wrecked by the last round, but they are still going to get a bomb plant, and they are still going to get an after plant situation as well, where it seems like Liquid have definitely had some struggles.
This time, though, MAC-10 in one of the hands, and they were already dropping. Galil alongside it. Sheikh Zula makes his MAC-10 sing, but still a player advantage for Liquids. They do have a kit. They've got a few flashbangs, and they're rapidly moving into position. B-Wills allows the first player to cross, but Elige puts him down, and now Sheikh Zula tagged down to 30 with just a MAC-10. Sprays in for the first, but that will be all he can get. A lot of disappointment on his face, but let's be honest, with the MAC-10 in that kind of position, he did as good as he could have. Liquid, though, will take the lead again, albeit with a Triumph bomb plant. They can't really afford a great deal.
Yeah, it's a shame for them, really, because you look at the economy on Liquid, and it is very, very low. If they could somehow steal this round away, it would pretty much put them in a position to actually take the entirety of the half. It definitely has been much closer than expected. As I said, like when we saw that streak of rounds, it looked like it was going to be ridiculously dominant for Liquid in the early stages of this map, but the turnaround from Triumph have been good. Although the main issue I feel like they're struggling with, Vince, is the fact that when they do seem to win these rounds, it's never really been clean.
Yeah, exactly. That has been a consistent factor, and you see there something that Tom was bringing up earlier about Sheikh Zula having to rally the troops and get together a lot of different personalities and get everyone to click. Only he remains from the roster last time that Grim donned the Triumph shirt. Goes to show how many changes they've had. And I think it really is a testament to Sheikh Zula's IGLing ability that he's got a team together again that is at least standing and trading off very respectively against one of the better teams in the world, and certainly over on NA.
Well, this round at least is a throwaway. Absolutely nothing invested. Sheikh Zula, the only time he goes in last, and Grim there to clean things up. 8-6. So I don't think like Liquid are going to be feeling too hard done by if this ends as a 9-6 half. I think it's more just the feeling that this is a bit too close for what they're expecting in the future, I guess. Like, this is definitely a tournament where they're looking to try and maybe get a little bit of extra practice in under Fallen's in-game leading, changing up some of their strategies a bit, but they're definitely being pressured here. Elige, though, his outside dominance has been something to fear. Just taking fights out in the open. He stood in no man's land, and he's surviving. Just about, at least, on 22 HP, and almost takes down B-Wills. Even still, though, he's done more than enough. Cynic left 1 versus 3, but he quickly gets 2 back, and somehow it's now him versus Nav.
And somehow all this bloodshed has happened. There's still a minute 15 to play with. So he can just sit here for so long, tries to tap but misses his chance. And that may be the round slipping away. He's had a bit of a slow start to this map, but this would be such an explosive comeback. Still though, a minute to play with. He gets the bomb under wraps and now has choices to make.
By the looks of it, it'll only be the footsteps that give things away. The door opened is actually Bay. He's going to catch out Naf. That is genius from Cynic, playing him like a fool. He will bring a 7th round onto the board for Triumph as they head into the second half.
It's hard until you notice. Everybody's got their moment. When the sun comes up and I look around, I can feel that love, I can hear the sound. Listen up. They're never gonna hold me down. I'm higher than the ceiling now, and then I need to worry about, 'cause I got no problems. I know it's gonna be alright. It's getting better every time. Nobody's gonna kill my vibe, 'cause I got no problems, 'cause I got no problems, 'cause I got no problems. Do you feel a little down? Say it. No problems. Let you in, but you out. Sing it. No problems. They're never gonna hold me down. I'm higher than the ceiling now. Have none I need to worry about, 'cause I got no problems. They're never gonna hold me down. I'm higher than the ceiling now. Have none I need to worry about, 'cause I got no problems. I know it's gonna be alright. It's getting better every time. Nobody's gonna kill my vibe, 'cause I got no problems.
Maybe it's time to sail away, to pack our bags and sail away. There's an ocean out there shimmering, and I don't see any reason left to stay. The future is unwritten, and the past is nothing but a teacher. There's a shore across the water full of promise, and I know that we can reach her. Maybe it's time to sail away, to pack our bags and sail away. Maybe it's time to sail away, to pack our bags and sail away. Somewhere out there in the sun, the hills are green and a river rolls. Hope and possibility beckon just beyond these four walls. The water out there shimmering, and I don't see any reason not to leave. Whichever way the light may bend, whichever way the wind may weave. Maybe it's time to sail away, to pack our bags and sail away.
Well, you may think that your eyes deceive you, but the fact is Liquid definitely struggled a little bit in that first half. Triumph are here to fight on their map choice and now head into that CT side. Oh, dear Lord. As he started off like that, they're playing on hard mode.
Well, we expect to see Stewie have a much better performance in this half, where he can be leading the charge a little bit more and getting back to the Stewie of old. But if they do concede this pistol, things are going to get a bit interesting. Goes out first to fall, and Leech just about holds on to his life, but now B Wills from above will be raining down pain alongside Cynic. will have a bit of inspiration from his 1v3 to close out the first half. But now it will fall down to a 2-on-2. The HP certainly favoring the CTs, but you can't write Elige and Fallen off, especially as Elige has the USP. The two of them dip down onto the B side, where Sheikh Zula's waiting for them on the cross. He doesn't even need to hit a headshot, just a bullet anywhere on Fallen, and he's a goner. But Fallen decides to actually push all the way around to the left-hand side. This may catch Sheikh Zula off guard. He may not anticipate this. So 55 seconds to play with, and although Fallen knows one player's on ramp, it's all about that second player. He has no idea where Cynic currently resides.
I almost wonder if he tried to bait out the rotation a little bit there. Just tried to fake that he got away. A bomb plant here for Fallen, though, is a pretty big deal. Like, both players on 7 HP, it didn't look likely at all to win it. Seems like an impossibility, although if they just bypass his eye, I think Sheikh Zula must have seen him, surely. Surely, right? Yeah, he smoked things off. He's going to make his way on towards the bomb and just start that defusal. Cynic now there to hold things off, and scoreline, Vince, is equal.
What isn't equal, though, Tom? If you look at the overall frags on both teams, it is so lopsided in favor of Liquid. Like, whenever Liquid were winning, it was with 4 or 5 players left alive. And as we touched on, whenever Triumph were winning in that first half, it always felt like it was down to 1v1, 2v2 situations. There's 4 players from Liquid that are well over double digits. It's only Stewie on 4, and then everybody else is 10 plus. When you look at the other side, only Sheikh Zula's on 10 frags. Everyone else is below that mark. So it's been a very interesting game of CS, but with that bomb plant, Liquid have the AKs, they have a bit of firepower to contend with, and Cooper is watching with the scout outside. Hasn't seen too much just yet, so can't give any intel across to his teammates.
Got to be careful, as it would have been one hell of a flick if he managed to land it, but Elige continues. What? He got a second and a third? That second kill didn't even register in my brain. I was like, oh, he just tapped a bullet. But there's someone dead in the kill feed. This man is truly ridiculous. And while he's one of the reasons I even feel like this game has been close. Sure, as you mentioned, there's been plenty of players fragging, but Elige just had impact along with it.
Yeah, and even when he wasn't getting kills in the first half, a stat that I brought up is he was 7 kills, 4 assists, and had well over 100 ADR. So even though he wasn't getting all the last hits, he was softening up so many targets. This time, it's just straight up headshots. Now, because he's low, he trades across the AK for the Deagle. Wants to play for his team, make sure they get this round convincingly wrapped up. But a FAMAS and an M4, it looks good for Triumph to save these 2 weapons, but as has so often been the case over the duration of this North American side of DreamHack 44, that second round proves to be far deadlier than the first, especially to the economy of the CTs.
I can't even blame them as well. For that round, I can't even blame them. Like, if you face off against someone who's just going to tap heads like that, it just seems impossible to do anything. And yeah, I really want to see that second kill slowed, because as I said, the first time, I didn't even realize it happened. Like, that was such a ridiculous shot from Elige. And while at least Cynic will be able to hold on to his gun, also removed a little bit of the extra weaponry that could have been retrieved as well. So that's something. It's that. Damn, I meant to even see that, Vince. How can I keep up with that?
That's just disgusting, isn't it? That's not an easy angle either, because it's its own separate entity behind the stairs. It's an off angle at the best of times.
It's a rat angle.
Yeah, fair enough. Definitely a rat angle, and he's definitely exterminated them, hasn't he? And now Triumph, they're into a 4 spy with those 2 save weapons we discussed before, but alongside it, 5-7 Deagle, Scout also picked up. Nice idea from Cooper, but he's a bit too slow on the draw, and Liquid will be systematically maneuvering their way outside while also taking lobby control.
I felt like it could be an ad. Like, you don't need pesticide, just hire Elige. He'll come round, put all the spray down. You'll never have any problems again. The rats will be in too much fear. Speaking of the man, they've left him alone outside. The rest of the team, again, just waiting in the lobby. Similarly to what we saw Sheikh Zula doing. Just, okay, he's going to try and make some space, force a few players to rotate. The rest of the team trying to sneak their way out, in fact. It might have got a little bit further than the CTs actually expected. Cooper, though, nice shot to kick things off. And actually, there's a couple of trades in the mix. Cooper, with another headshot from the scout, has made this one interesting. Grim, only on a Mac 10, but I imagine there's rifles to be had. But more importantly, he wants to get that bomb down.
He also has Elige. A man that has definitely turned it up a few gears these last few rounds, and he's gone in for more. They expect a double player stack. They would have heard footsteps, but they also know that main is a real issue. They've dealt with Cooper. He was already low in the previous exchange, and now Sheikh Zula with a Desert Eagle by his side has got to try and carve out a path towards a clutch, and he's pulled off a beautiful shot onto a leash, but he's been tagged down so heavily, and the MAC-10 with the maneuverability behind it will prove to be that bridge too far. Liquid pick up a 10th round, and Triumph, after investing all their money, will have to dip back down onto pistols.
These were some wonderful shots from Cooper as well. It's a shame this round doesn't come through because it leaves them at rock bottom, basically. Absolutely nothing can be invested in this round from Triumph, and it means that although that was ridiculously close, although there was an opportunity for them to steal it away, it's somewhat meaningless because this is now a chance for Liquid to just make all that extra money back, farm up some cash with the MAC-10s, and have very, very little resistance here. Like, again, even a couple of kills would be huge for Triumph just to keep the economy honest, but I feel like the chances of that are so slim, and while Fallen, he's just not letting go of the W key. He's just gonna keep running around corners, maybe using that extra ping to his advantage.
Yeah, this has been just perfect. All 3 kills have been on the 2 MAC-10s. This is money towards the AWP fund. Yeah, no reason to stop. If he loses the MAC-10, he can upgrade. He's completely fine. He's expendable in every sense of the word. He's gone down, but even then it's like, well, yeah, we killed him, but we don't really want to save a MAC-10 into the next round. We'd like to get our hands on one of those juicy AKs if possible. Cynic may get the opportunity, but he's been spotted, and Stewie puts the bullet in the side of his head. So now Fallen can trade up to the AWP if they so choose, or they could just keep it with full AKs and try and mix up the pace, because they must know that Triumph are dipping down to AWP, and in doing so, with their money being a bit dodgy, they probably can't afford too many grenades. So I'm actually totally on board with them picking up an AK here in the hands of Fallen.
I think as well, although it might seem a little bit premature, if Triumph don't win this round, I would be close to calling this one already over. Just because of the manner in which Liquid have managed to win the last few rounds. Like, it's been all-out aggression, just basically brawling all the way through, like individual players just running and gunning, and that's the sort of mode where if Liquid get into, I just don't think there's anything that Triumph can do. Whereas if they manage to shut them down in this round, maybe they force Liquid to play a little bit more passive, a little bit more controlled than what we've seen.
Especially as it felt that a lot of the success that Triumph picked up in the first half was when they were able to play aggressive. And you can play aggro on the CT side of Nuke, but against a team that's as well drilled as Liquid are, you're always going to be running the gauntlet to do so. And if they just happen to be doing their due diligence and checking their angles, you probably just walk into a trap. So I definitely would agree that this is an integral moment in the map. It could very well sway heavily in favor of Liquid if they convincingly pick this one up and they walk straight out of the squeaky door. Stewie gets one, is nullified afterwards, but Grim instantly there to eviscerate, as is Fallen. And they have completely lopsided and taken this A site with style. A leash, a beautiful one-tap onto Viz. He loses his life, but the damage has been done. There's not really much that Cooper can do other than maybe take a few players with him. It's a nice flick, but it's a drop in the bucket because he's not going to save the round. That much is for sure. I say that, actually. They keep pushing him, but there was no kit anyway. So although Fallen is going to be tagged down low, he still holds his ground, picks up the AWP for himself, and now Liquid can buy their AKs alongside it.
Yeah, as said, I feel like that could be pretty much it. Like, I just don't see them stopping Liquid. Like, it's almost just like the snowball started rolling, and well, you're gonna need some sort of plow to stop it at this stage. There's only gonna be a few pistols invested in as well. Like, Triumph don't really have that extra bulk of cash to put much into this round whatsoever. So again, even though the last one was costly for Liquid, if they come out of this with 4+ players, it's all meaningless. The bank will be built. Now, Sheikh Zula, he definitely had some success, some impact frags in that first half. It'll be a lot tougher for him here, and the smokes don't really gift him much at all. In fact, Naf is just waiting for them to fade, waiting for someone to take that risky peek. A couple of players have rotated in. Again, not the worst positions to try and do some damage. Maybe then catch one off guard. The bigger problem, though, is if Cooper isn't defended by his teammate, this is potentially the worst angle of all time.
Ooh. You can see what he was going for. Kind of unfortunate, especially with their backs turned, but yep, the round is kind of falling into place the way that would have been expected. when you saw the opening weapons picked up on either side. Maybe some exit frags will be forthcoming. You've already seen Cynic in the last round of the first half pulled out quite the miracle play, but this is an entirely different proposition. And Liquid, well, they're picking up 13. Triumph aren't really interested. They're both setting up for exits. They're hoping they can maybe take away an AK or two away from Liquid, and that's really the best case scenario. So it has been a clean sweep, barring the pistol that Liquid have picked up now on this half. And the other aspect as well, you know, we were talking before about Sheikh Zula saying there were some potential weaknesses. You feel like when you're talking about exploiting a weakness, it's typically going to be on the CT side. I think it's way harder to exploit a potential weakness on the T half of the map. So, yeah, they're running into that blender now over and over again.
I don't feel like you really exploit a T side unless they're just bad.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just not very good at the T side. Or maybe if there was a specific spot that they didn't really take very much. Like, for example, with Alicia's aggression in the last, we didn't see a massive amount of outside control, but that was just something you sort of worked out as the game went on. It's not something you're just going to go from the very beginning and go, I'm just going to push ramp. Like, that would be a little bit ludicrous. So, yeah, it's looking like now that Liquid are just in full domination. Like, they won that anti-eco flawlessly, and after the last purchase, it hasn't filled me with confidence. I guess you could call this the first with sort of all the extra trimmings, the utility that's necessary to potentially slow down the pushes of Liquid. But again, it's rough. And actually, Grim's just going to continue his push. They want this wrap control, and they're going to get it freely.
Been pretty straightforward. Now they move down onto the ramp. Viz is there, laid waiting with the M4. May very well get one, but it's not really an angle you're expecting to get more than one. And of course they check that because there's no gunfire coming from control room. The squeaky doors, decon, nothing. So why wouldn't they check that spot? And Triumph really struggling to get any kind of a foothold. Cooper's given them a brief opportunity, a glimmer of a dash of a hope. But now in come the Sharks. Unleash devours B. Will's hole. Insta headshot. He's on some madness right now. 25 frags to his name and showing no signs of slowing down.
Yeah, he's had a great game from start to finish. I think it was only the early rounds where maybe he was a little bit more tentative that he sort of got caught off by Sheikh Zula. But the second he started taking the game into his own hands, it's looked pretty much done. Marcinic, a parting gift, 1 kill. He's got to try and get away from the bomb, which he might be able to do. He's going to end up directly above it, but not take too much damage. So at least 3 players survive. But as said, like, these rounds haven't been particularly close. Sure, you might be looking at it with both teams having 3 players survive, but it's mainly because the round's been over so fast that Triumph really haven't been able to do much about it.
Yeah, precisely. It doesn't feel like, I mean, no disrespect here to Triumph at all, because again, they're a relatively new roster and they weren't expected to win this game, but it does seem like they lack a bit of that X factor. You know, you're looking at a player like Elige, Naf, these kind of guys that can really come out. Grim's been having a great performance too. And Cynic, at least will be plugging the first 2 players down before Fallen and Naf come straight back in. But the issue is, it doesn't feel like Triumph have that player that can like really take control over the game and just enforce his will on Liquid.
He might be in a bit of trouble here. Throwing a flash is not the best way to get out of that vent position. And actually, Sheikh Zula has stepped up. It's left onto Elige, though. And at this stage, honestly, it's hard to doubt him. He's been flashed off the angle, but gets a chance to take the jewel. Some damage done onto him. The bomb being tapped. He's actually going to use up almost his whole clip, but has the opportunity to reload. But they're on the bomb. He has to now do something about it. They walk in. He pulls out the Glock. He spams, but can't get anything. It will be Sheikh Zula again. We talk about impact, and this man is at the helm once more, but I do wonder if that was just a blip.
Even then, though, Tom, even though he loses, he takes 4 players down in total, so it means they're down to a FAMAS. Their economy is basically nothing apart from this, so they lose this, they're right back into effectively pistols. And plus, like, the way Elige plays that potential clutch to get 2 kills is so sick. He doesn't panic the second the flash comes through, uses the smoke as a sanctuary, and then plays around it, and so nearly clutches out for his teammates.
Oh, no!
Cooper, 100 to 1 off a Molotov. He does get the leg, but he's down. What happened there?
I think that spread far further than he ever expected it to, and maybe a little bit more shallow than it would have been normally, but yeah, that's just a mistake that happens. And while I love it. I absolutely love it, especially after the last round where Sheikh Zilla just sneaks his way up the vent and manages to kill off Stewie. Elise just jumps down, pre-firing him. He really can do no more. He only took 1 damage from that, by the way. That might have just been from falling. So, yeah, that couldn't have gone any better. Viz trying to save, and, well, all they're really going to have, Vince, is the loss bonus that they have built up over time to give them a little bit extra going into the next round, but it's still not going to be pretty.
I just love these player cams, man, because if you look at Sheikh Zula's face, that is the face of pure disgust. Like, just pure, unfiltered disgust at what just happened. Like, just straight on the head, get wrecked. Like, oh, what could he do about that? That's just outrageous.
Been Goomba stomped.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I'd like to have seen your cam if that happened to you. Although I do wonder if the cam would have been out the window.
Yeah, I would have probably smashed it or something.
Oh, Elige, he's looking for his 30 bomb. I think that's all there really is to talk about at this stage. 29 and 11. This CT side has been rough, and there it is. The 30th kill, but he does take a lot of damage in response. In all honesty, this has been one of the best starts we've seen, and jumping straight into the crosshair of Sheikh Zula. He's now left completely blind, but he will be able to retreat and has support in the form of Cooper. This is one of the weaker purchases we've seen from them as of recent, but it's going fairly well. However, Elige... Okay, I thought he was actually going to get something there. Grim, again, trading. He's tagged low. Naf, the only healthy member, but 2 players are dropped. That could be it. It's left all on to Viz to try and clutch this out. A 1 versus 2, and Grim just decapitates him as they go